Hi traders, this is Rajshekar. Welcome to my channel. Before we begin this video, I would like to thank you all for watching, subscribing and liking my previous videos. And if you are watching this channel for the first time, please subscribe and share. I'll try and make videos every weekend with weekly views based on GAN concepts. And for intraday, you can follow me on my Telegram channel. You can find the link in the description. So let's begin with this week's view. And moves gap up, gap down. So let's try and understand what's happening and see all the probabilities of markets falling or rising from the current market price. And this is a video series of price cycles, time cycles and geometry. So please watch all the videos which will be coming up to understand it in a better way, right? So now at current market price, if you want to be a buyer or a seller, you need to have the clarity of what is happening with the cycles. So in this video we will be covering about price cycles and we will not be discussing about time cycles or the geometry. So to understand whether you want to be a buyer or seller at current market price, first thing is that we need to understand what is happening in the past. So if we start from here, this was the bottom, previous bottom. From here, all these lines that you are seeing, all horizontal lines with different color coding, it's all different cycles. So markets will have bullish and bearish cycles, and each bullish cycle will have multiple bull and bear cycles. Likewise, in the long term bear cycle, it will have multiple bullish and bear cycles again. So it all depends on the trend and the long term cycle. So after we had this top some time back, we had combination of bears and bull cycle and it dropped till here. And from here, from this level to this level, this blue line was a short term bullish cycle. That was a reversal. And after this blue dotted line is the medium term bull cycle trigger. See, observe closely. From here it went up, came back, and this was the midpoint of this short term cycle, and it took support, and from there again it went and stopped at medium term bull cycle. So after it stopped again, it came back to the previous target of the short term bull cycle, which offered the support. From here, the next target would be medium term target, which will be this one. Now even this medium term target will have a midpoint which is missing in this picture. Now there was a possibility that it would have touched this medium target and it would have come back to the medium term midpoint or this previous short term target and it would have rallied. Now in this case it didn't retrace, it went and hit the medium term target. After this it was moving up down till here, and there were multiple bear cycles here as well. Just like this short term up move, there was a short term down move. Now after this was our medium long term cycle trigger, which was also a previous top. If this top had not allowed this one, we wouldn't have seen this rally. Now in this case what happened, this after this medium target achieved, this triggered this long term cycle bullish trend, and from here there was a breakout, and from here what is the next target? The target is this one. Now did we reach there? We have not reached there. What are the reasons? Let's check. So after this long term cycle triggered, this was the midpoint of long term trigger, means this is the midpoint of this long term cycle from this bottom. So from this bottom, this was a midpoint of the long term cycle. Now here, after we broke out again, this was taking support here for some time, and after that it went up, came down, took this support again, and it was heading towards this target. Now after all this drama, it went and stopped here. What is the reason for it to stop here? Because this is a vibration point from this previous top. Unless we don't cross this, this won't come. Unless we don't break this, this is not coming. So for now, this is your strongest resistance. Okay. So now after this up move, this is as important as this long term target. Unless we don't break this, it is not going there. Unless we didn't break this, it was not reaching here or here. So now from this level, what is happening? In this long term bull cycle, we are seeing bear cycle trend. Means this can trigger a long term correction as well, but it will follow the same process like the way it did it from the last bottom. So first was a short term bull cycle, then was a medium term bull cycle, and then it triggered the long term bull cycle. Now here the same process and the same pattern will continue. Now from here we made a top which is related to the previous top. Now from this top, this was the short term bear cycle, and after that this triggered a medium term bear cycle. Now we came back to the midpoint of medium term cycle target, which is also medium term cycle target. What I mean to say is this is a short term bear cycle. Inside this we have medium term bear cycle. So this was the target. This red line was the target of medium term bear cycle, and this is the midpoint of long term bear cycle, just like this one. So if this triggers, we'll be heading straight to this target. Now will this target come? It will be possible only if this triggers. Now remember, this is the trigger of long term bear cycle, and also the midpoint of long term bear cycle are one and the same. Means this midpoint is important just like this previous midpoint of long term cycle. From here it can go back to this level. If this breaks, it can go back to this previous short term bear cycle target. From there again it can drop. Unless this does not break, we are not coming here. So what is happening right now? It is inside the medium term cycle and at the halfway mark of the long term bear cycle. So is it a good position to buy? If this sustains, you can buy only for short term bullish view, with the short term bullish view. And you should remember in the background that unless we don't cross this, we are not going there. So any rise, we can see another sell off, and when this breaks, this will reach this long term bear cycle target. And observe closely, this long term target and the previous bull cycle midpoint are almost the same. Look at this. Now this can offer a strong support, and if this comes and if this happens, then this will be your next buying probability. From here we can again face the same music going upwards. This will create a problem. If this clears, then we are going up, and if this clears, then this target will be achieved. Now what will happen if this breaks? If this breaks, then this will also break. If both long term midpoint and long term base cycle midpoint, target, if these two break, then what will happen? It will follow back into the previous bull cycle rally. From here the same thing will follow, and will take support here, and finally we'll reach this point. So this is about price cycles of Nifty. I hope it was simple and easy. And now if you want to find out how to calculate all this, then you have to wait for some other videos. For right now, we'll stop at this point. And now, like Nifty, let's see what is happening with Bank Nifty. So as we saw in the Nifty price cycles, we have same kind of calculations for Bank Nifty price cycles. So here also the same story. After this bottom, this was your previous bottom. From here, this was your from this bottom to this one was the short term bull cycle, and after that this was your medium term bull cycle trigger. And once this was broken, we went for the medium term bull target. So this was your target. So this was your first target, this was your first target, then this was your second target, and this will be your medium term bullish cycle trigger. So only after this will come. And after we achieved the medium term bull cycle target, there was a correction and this midpoint support failed, and we came back to this short term bull cycle which offered the strong support, which was a strong support. And from here we went back to this medium term bull target, and we came back to this previous trigger of bull cycle and also the midpoint of medium term bull cycle. And after this was your long term bull cycle trigger. Unless we don't cross this, we are not going anywhere up. So what happened here? It made 3 attempts, 1, 2 and 3, and whenever it stopped here, it came back and took support at the medium term bull cycle target from this bottom. And from this, after taking support from here, this went up, triggered this long term bull cycle trigger, and after that this also touched the midpoint of long term cycle. So what was long term cycle? This was your long term cycle. So this is your midpoint of long term bullish cycle. Look at this. From here, after reaching the short term target, medium term target, it went and stopped at midpoint of long term bull cycle target. From here there was a big correction and it came back here, and in this bull cycle you can see there was short term bear cycle, and this was a medium term bear cycle. Look at the size. You can make out what is medium and what is short term based on its size of the waves. So after we stopped at midpoint, we came back to this previous medium term target. From here this offered a support, as I said before, and from here, after we gave a breakout, after this Bank Nifty gave a breakout, this was your target. Now for a moment, please ignore these two pink lines and let's focus from the bottom. Now this was the target. Once this target is achieved, if you are buying here, this is a trap. If this is not surviving and if anybody is buying here, this is called as late entry. If you are buying here, there is all the possibility that you are going to lose money. Now after hitting the long term bull cycle, what is your next opportunity to buy? The next opportunity to buy would be this or this, because cycles operate differently. After short term, if it reaches mid term, the next support will be previous short term target, because that will be the breakout point. Likewise, in this case also, this will be your breakout point where the midpoint of last medium term bull cycle, or you can buy at the previous midterm target. So either of this will be the best probability, this or this. Now coming back to these pink lines, what are these pink lines? These pink lines are directly in link with the previous top. Unless this does not break, this will not come. This will not come. So what was happening with the previous top? While coming down also, the same process: short term, medium term and the long term. So likewise, in this bull cycle there will be a lot of many different cycles. It can be bullish or bearish. So what is the background? The background was positive bull cycle, and inside that bull cycle you will see short term and medium term corrections. So these corrections, when you have a long term target way above, you can always buy on dips, and depends where do you buy. After a medium term correction, it is always good to buy for a positional trade. If you are a short term trader, you can always wait for a correction with a short term and you can go long. Now even after completing this medium term correction, even if it wants to go back to this high, the same process will start. First it should trigger short term cycle, bullish one, reversal, and after that there will be a correction. Unless we don't cross that short term correction, short term reversal, it will not trigger the medium term bull cycle again. inside any kind of long-term bull cycle. Now in this case, what happened, this pink lines were the same levels just like short-term bear cycle and short-term medium-term bear cycle. So this was your support or resistance from the previous top. So this offered support again and triggered this level while it was moving from this bottom. And after we hit, we came back and took this support. Now this stop is offering this support. Unless we don't break it, we'll stay in this bull cycle for some more time. Now after this long-term bull cycle target, what is the next scenario? See, after hitting this target, you should always be cautious of going longs in this area. So only after a medium-term correction, it's good to buy. If you are buying, you should always remember in the background we have completed long-term bull cycle and it can trigger a long-term bear cycle as well. So if you are buying, it should be a short-term view, not the long-term view. Now after this gave a breakout of the long-term bull cycle, what is the next process? The next process is it should trigger the super bull cycle. Now there is a long and wide gap between the long-term bull cycle target and the bull cycle trigger. Now this is an area which I say it as gray area, means it can trap late bulls or it can even trap bears. Why? Because this can give you a good down move at least till here, and if this breaks, this can trigger back to these levels. Now let's see the scenario after we hit this. See, after we hit this, unless this cycle does not trigger, it is not going up. So what is the probability if you're shorting here based on your trend analysis and other things? The probability of winning will be very high. So even if you have a stop loss, it is very small risk. So if you are shorting here, the same process again, the same process just like short term, medium term and a long term, this will also trigger the same way. Now from this top, this was your short term target which is mentioned here, and when this broke, what is the next procedure? Same thing, medium term target, this is your medium term target, and this will have a midpoint here, or this will have midpoint bear cycle point here. So what is happening now? From this top, we came back and completed medium term target which is mentioned here. From here again it took support, went back to the previous short term cycle where it triggered the medium term correction. Now from here, what is the target again? This is the same target, right? In this case, what happened? After hitting this target, we touched this long term bear cycle alarm, or you can call it as the previous top which is offering support here, right? So this you can consider as zero coordinate, wherein anything above is positive, anything below is negative. So in this positive, you will have multiple positive and negative cycles. So what is happening right now? This is offering the support, and this long-term bear alarm is not based on the previous resistance. It is based on mathematical view. Now this and this is gray area, just like this gray area. So this can trap late bears or early bulls. So this is an area where you need to step in very consciously, and any reversal you can have a short-term bullish bias. Now while going up also, these are the levels which will create hurdles. So this is your first hurdle. So now what is happening in this area? Whenever it is coming down, there is a bounce back. Now here the same thing you can expect, unless we don't break this or we break this, it is not going there. Let's assume if it breaks this level, what will happen? If this breaks, there will be a long-term bearish cycle. Now long-term bearish cycle target would be somewhere here. Now before we reach this point, we'll have multiple again bull cycle and bear cycles going down till here. Now at the moment, I don't think this is going to break, but I'm not saying it won't break. It can break anytime, but you should have a view for a short-term reversal. This is not the place where you can short because this is too late. So whenever you see a reversal, if you get any bear signal here, you can definitely short and wait for this to break. Unless we don't break this, we are not going down, right? So I hope you understood the price cycle analysis of both Nifty and Bank Nifty. And so what should be done? I just told you briefly. Nifty is at midpoint of a cycle and Bank Nifty is at medium term target. So both at a very strong support. If you are shorting here, it's too late. So wait for a rise at least for next short opportunity. Here if you see any kind of buying opportunity, you can go with the mindset that it is a short term view and you should not marry this trade, right? If you are lucky, if this breaks, then we might see another top somewhere here. And here again, if you get any selling opportunity, you can short and this can trigger the same waves down. Now only with the price levels, the probability of going up or going down will be very minimal, only based on the mathematical levels. If you are using these mathematical cycle levels, then you should be very strong with your price action skills, right? See, the other probability to guide you whether it's a good to buy or good to sell, you need to have other factors. The other factors will be GAN geometry and time. See, price is one part of GAN concept and time is another part of GAN concept. So if we combine both price and time, we can get the right direction. Whether from here up move is good, if it is an up move, till what time, if it is a down move, till what time. So all these things we will discuss in the next video. So for this video, this is the topic which I wanted to cover. So after watching this, please ensure to watch the other two videos which I'll be covering. This is just the price cycles, one part of GAN theory. In the other one, we'll be discussing about GAN geometry, which will be GAN angles. What is GAN angle saying? What time cycles are saying? In the combination of all these things, we'll have a better clarity of whether to buy here or sell here, or wait for a buy opportunity or wait for the sell opportunity. Take the screenshot of both Nifty and Bank Nifty and keep it with you. This will be the blueprint for 2022. And the weekly view, I'll be covering it with little more details. Please continue to watch the other videos, and if you have liked this video, please like and subscribe, and please share. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.